it's really dependent on what you reward. So if you are a leader who rewards pipeline and like having a healthy pipeline, something I always got yelled at when I was a rep was the lack of pipeline that I had compared to everybody else on my team. And I was like, well, I'm also like a top performer, always number one at the top of the leaderboard. And yes, my pipeline is lower, but it's also real. And so just think about the things that you do reward. Are you also rewarding for the little things that we want to keep reps doing, right? Are we rewarding for social selling? Are we rewarding for multi-threading? We're rewarding for speed of deal and things like that. We're rewarding for smaller discounts. Whatever you measure and whatever you reward is exactly what your reps will do.
Can I add something there? So
No.
when we think about rewards, though, for everybody, the idea that, hey, my sales team, they're coin operated. If you believe that, you're probably right. And it also means you're doing it wrong. Right. So like when we think about rewards, it's not monetary, right? Like we as human beings, we're prediction machines. So help them predict. We're also recognition machines. Like we love to be recognized, right? To give status, to be validated for our efforts. Like some of those rewards coming just in the form of on a weekly meeting, just going, Jen, look what Jen did this week, right? And just like, so when you think about those rewards, it's not just monetary, it's the status and the recognition that you're giving everybody. So
yeah, just really quickly, then we'll let Demand Gen talk. A leader said to me, and I internalized this as first said to me, I think like maybe 10, 12 years ago, and it's always stuck with me. People are motivated by and large by three things: money, mission, and recognition, right? And it's not, again, zero sum. It's not like an either or thing. It's usually a combination thereof, right? And a big part of your responsibility as a leader is to really find out like, okay, what is that sort of pie chart balance within an individual, and sort of coach them and motivate them and lead them, in a general sense, just based on that balance that you kind of discovered. But Jen, over to you.
I think my perspective is a little bit different, right? I've never led a sales organization the way that these three amazing people have, but I've been on the receiving end of it, right? And the point, Sam, you just raised, I don't think is considered enough. I worked for a manager who celebrated forecast accuracy. And that was something you can do every single month. So we had those people that would put $1 million deals in the pipeline and they'd push and they'd push and they'd push. That was worse and considered and widely accepted as worse than the people who had smaller pipelines who were at 90, 95% accuracy every month. So I couldn't agree more, especially as a salesperson. There's nothing more frustrating than sitting on a pipeline call and seeing someone who is just over forecasting get celebrated while you're actually bringing a real opportunity to the table. So from a seller's perspective, I cannot tell you how much celebrating accuracy matters. But the second thing is just consistency, right? As someone who's worked remotely from 2014 on, I think this was not a major shift for me, but I watched others where it was. And I think one of the best things I had a sales leader do was just consistently ask the same sets of questions every single time we were looking at a deal. If I walked into a deal review with him and I didn't know what that company sold, who they sold it to, and how they sold it, I knew I wasn't allowed to even discuss that deal. And so by virtue of not asking me 700 different things, which is even harder, I think, in a remote environment where we're all scrambling and information is coming at us from all angles, just knowing exactly what my manager expects from me made it so that I could show up better for them, which meant they could show up better for their leader.